And we are live. Good evening. My name is Michael Bailey from the Minority Eye, and we are coming to you this evening with a special show, a community conversation. And right now we're broadcasting live from Studio Arts, and this show is being powered by Free Thinkers Radio. And I'm here with an esteemed guest of panelists. How you, ladies and gentlemen, doing tonight?
Doing great.
Doing good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. Thank you for having us.
No problem. I'd like to start off. The night's topic is going to be uh, new challenges for new leadership. What I would like to speak with you guys about tonight is some of the challenges that you face, some of the things that you're doing in the community. A lot of people in the community, you know your name. They some know your faces, but not many may not be familiar with you guys. So before we start, I'd like to start on the end with Mr. Kyle Green. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Kyle Green. I started my company Kyle Speaks, and it's just really a platform where I kind of built when me and Chris Sullivan. I was sitting in my living room and I heard my Sabrina Fulton say this could have happened to any one of our sons, and she was talking about her son Trayvon Martin. I never met Trayvon Martin, never visited Sanford, Florida, but when that situation happened, something within me, like the sleeping giant, like really woke up, and I was like, "Hey, what do y'all think about doing a rally for Trayvon Martin?" And I went on my social media platform, and it's nowhere near as big as it is now, but it was that moment, and that was before the Sandra Bland, that was before the Michael Brown, that was before all of these situations that happened. It seemed like Trayvon Martin was the first one that really captured the pulse and the attention of the community, where we was like, yo, something wrong. Like, how can an innocent black kid be killed? And granted, it's been happening before, but it wasn't as so politicized like how it was on social media at the time. So I linked up with Chris. I was like, yo, Chris, man, I got this idea, I got this vision, but I need some help. And he helped make that dream become a reality. And I did that rally. And then Kyle Speak was like birthed out of that movement. And so most people was asking, like, so what are you going to do after? Like, what's the next move? And I was like, yo, I'm going to just keep like giving people hope, inspiration, showing them love, showing them how we can bring people together. And it's really just kind of grown into what it is now. So I go speak at schools, speak at educational forums, speak with students, speak with just everybody, just trying to give them some hope and some inspiration. And then I wrote a book, The Mentality Changer, A Journey to Help Change How You Once Thought About You. And this book I wrote was really to help change people's mindsets on how they think about their situations. Oftentimes things that happen to us, man, if something happened bad, like nobody ever like see the good in it. Everybody thinks it's always something bad and negative. I just try to get people to see the good in every situation. So that's kind of me.
Miss James?
Hi, I'm Tiffany James, and I would like to say I was so proud to be a part of that movement.
Appreciate
I
it.
remember that, and I had the pleasure to speak with Kyle as well as Chris Sullivan that day when we had the rally for. Well, to support Trayvon Martin. So I do a lot of things. I'm all over the place. I'm an artist. That was my first love. So I love telling stories of people. I love telling. I think that's a way of activism is telling stories. So that's one of the reasons why I act. I work in transportation now, and I started working in transportation through working on a local campaign. And working on the penny sales tax basically got me into transportation because I heard the stories of people who were not connected to resources, not connected to jobs, not connected to just different things. A community needs. So now I work for the comment in transportation and I connect people. And I feel like I connect people throughout everything I do in my life. So while I'm on stage, I'm connecting with people. When I'm out doing rallies, I'm connecting with people, and I would like to provide opportunities for other people to be connected. So I think activism is that way, and being involved in politics is that way as well.
Mr. Sullivan?
My name is Chris Sullivan from Columbia, South Carolina. Father, small business owner, community leader. First began getting involved in our community when I was 6 years old, marching with the NAACP, calling for the removal of the Confederate battle flag. And over the past decades, I've seen that the more things change, the more they remain the same. So we worked together on initiatives such as the BCF movement, where we brought the Blood Crips and folks together, started here in Columbia, South Carolina, now in 24 states, 4 countries. We've done organizing rallies. We spoke in support of public transit. We target specific members of our leadership to challenge them on the ballot due to not agreeing on their stance on issues, and just committed to helping people overall and moving our city and our state, our generation, our people, and all people forward.
Bree?
Yes, Brianna Spalding. Originally from Georgia, Atlanta. Shout out to my city. But I came here to go to college at Columbia College, proud alum of Columbia College, where I found what exactly I wanted to do in the area and how I wanted to give back. Decided to stay in Columbia, and it's been a great decision of mine. I work in the healthcare arena. That's my main goal and passion in life. Along with that, I enjoy politics as well. I currently am the chair of the Young Dems of the Central Midlands. I own my own political consulting firm, The Winning Platform. Right now, I am heavily involved in a local campaign for Congressional District 2. Sean Kerrigan is running for Congress in that district. And that is pretty much what I do. I stay involved in a lot of things. And since this is also talking about young people getting more involved, I'm also a member of the Capital City Club, where I serve as the chair of the Young Professionals. So I'm really passionate about young people getting involved, and definitely getting involved early. A lot of people don't know this about me. I try not to say it all the time, but I am only 23 years old. And that is because I want to be involved, and I think it makes a difference when you start that early, so you have time to really make an impact as you continue to grow in your career.
My name is Antoine Seawright, and I just want to make a difference in the lives of someone else. If I can help somebody along the way, then somebody will say, "Job well done."
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you once again. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. What I brought you guys here together tonight to have a open dialogue about leadership, and I wanted some people from a political background, and I wanted some community leaders to get a well-rounded picture. My first question: where do you think leadership? Well, let me rephrase this. Do you think our current leadership is headed in the right direction in terms of our community? And when I say our, I'm talking about the African American community.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Expound on that.
especially in the city of Columbia. You had 2 young men that lost their lives earlier this morning celebrating their birthdays. I mean, we live in a city, capital city, doesn't even have a skating rink. I mean, look at the opportunities for young folks in the city. When the young folks are striving to do something, they have to go against the wall or decide to move and try to discover opportunities other places. And then you look on a national level, they're more about headlines opposed to substance.
Would anybody like to add to that?
I would just add to what Chris said. We definitely have some type of void. Something is missing. It's a disconnect between say like the baby boomers generation versus what generation? I graduated in Y2K, so I'm generation what? X. Like it's a disconnect because sometimes our visions don't line up, and so we constantly have like this button heads, and that caused some type of like strife where we like, well, I'll just take my ball and I'll go play on my own court, versus why can't we use the same ball, play on the same court, and achieve the same outcome? And as long as we taking our ball and we playing on different courts, that means we not collectively putting all of our ideas and our dreams and our aspirations and our goals together to like mix. The coolest and dopest thing that I used to see my grandmother do when I was a kid was make a cake. It was like so creative to me because she would add like all these ingredients in this big old bowl, right? And then she would mix it up together, and then she would put it in this pan and put it in the oven. But what she did with the bowl was she would give me the bowl, and I would like lick the stuff that she just mixed in, and it was like really good. And I couldn't understand, like, how could she take like this flour and this sugar and this butter that she melted and mix it all again, and it turned out to be something so good. So we missing out on making that really good cake in our city of Columbia.
And I do want to say it's by design. Willie Lynch theory still exists. So I do want to place that out there. And there are a few exceptions, but majority, like I said, absolutely not.
Well, let me ask this, and then I want to direct this to Antoine or Bree. When in your positions, you are de facto leaders in the party. What do you do when party makes a decision that's not beneficial to your people? How's that handled? Anybody?
I wanted to be nice. I wanted to use my Southern gentleman manners and yield to the lady. Well, before I'm the Democratic Party, before I'm Blueprint Strategy, before I'm any of those things, I'm Antoine Seawright. And when I go home at night, I have to look myself in the face. I don't look a political party. I don't look a client. I don't look an organization. I don't look any of those things. I have to look at me. And so I think about the decisions I make, right or wrong. I think about how they will impact me and whether I can sleep at night. My grandmother used to say, you do it right, you'll sleep tight. You do it wrong, you won't sleep long. So regardless of what the party does, Antoine's going to do what's best for him.
Right.
Because the party may change, the people in the party may change, the politics may change, the clients may change, the climate may change. But Antoine Seawright is going to be with Antoine Seawright for forever. And so if the party does something that I don't believe is right or I don't agree with, then I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb. Because being a leader requires and means sometimes doing what's not always popular. And I think the people who can master that art are the ones that qualify in my mind as a good leader. But I do want to follow up on something that Chris and Kyle said. I want to disagree just a little bit. The older I get, the more careful I am about criticizing people, whether I agree with it or not. Because for every older person who's leading right now, they were a young Antoine Seawright, a young Kyle, a young Tiffany, a young Bree, a young Chris, and somebody criticized them. But we can learn so much from those people because they've busted down doors, they've cleared trees, they've lifted up windows in some cases, and a lot of them have built strong, wide shoulders to hold our generation up. And they've done things that, quite frankly, that I don't know that I will ever be able to do. I don't know if I could ever go into a field all day and pick cotton, Mike, and clean toilets like I've seen my sharecropping grandparents do. Don't know if I could ever do that in my life, but they've done that. And so because they've done that, then they allowed for me to do what I'm doing now. So the older I get, the more careful I am to criticize. Now, there's always room for improvement. I think the challenge is for the older generation that may be occupying space right now is for them to retrain and retool and rethink so that they can prepare the next generation to come behind them. And that's kind of where I am. So I've been very slow to criticize now because truthfully, there's some young gun probably sitting around listening to the show saying, you know what, that Antoine Seawright and that fella ain't you know what. And he can be doing so much so. And in my mind, I think I'm doing everything I need to do or trying to do to prepare another generation. So I've just been very slow to criticize people in general, but particularly older people.
I'm going to add to that, Bree.
And that's not a knock on these boys.
Right, yeah, right.
This is what I feel.
Bree, I want to let you chime in on that.
Yeah, I'm definitely with him when it comes to the fact that we have to go home and sleep at night and know that yeah, exactly. And don't lose any sleep. I don't believe in losing sleep. There's no such thing. You should be able to go home and know that you did all you could do that day, like you said, to move the generation forward and to make your impact. I will say that, we don't align with, there's only one person I align with everything, and that's God. So if you aren't God, we ain't gonna see eye to eye on everything,
Right.
and we are not going to agree with everything, and that's just the same with the party. I do all I can do when I'm in positions that I'm in to make an effect, Tiffany and I just graduated from the Clyburn Fellowship, which is an awesome opportunity for anyone in South Carolina looking to get more involved in democratic politics, to learn more about how things work. And from that fellowship, I can tell you the number one thing I learned is you cannot effectively make change if you're not involved. Point blank and period. People have to show up, and they don't just show up, but know what you're showing up to, know how you can make an impact, make your voice known while you're there. And I feel like as you do things in the party, like you said, they may not do something that you agree with or whatnot, you can still show up, you can cast your vote, you can share your opinion, you can offer ideas, you can be willing to work. And that justifies you standing up for what you feel was right or was wrong.
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to expound on something for a minute, Antoine, on what you said. And Chris, I'm going to direct this question to you. Antoine, I totally believe, agree with you. But one of the things, and I respectfully disagree with, is I think it's the role of leadership to open the door for young leadership.
That's what I said earlier.
I would be a fool to sit on this panel and bring a bunch of 40 and 50-year-old males close to my age on this panel. Somebody, as leader, we have to pave the way. Now, there are certain, in politics, you're going to have your difference of opinions. Chris, when you ran for city council, the most vile and ugly thing that, to me, a black man could do was to call another young black man, oh, he must be a gang member. Knowing what Chris has done in the community, the fight against gangs in the community, and to stand up for our children, to go on TV or to give an interview and to in any way say an older black man call another young black man, oh, he's a thug or a gang, a member of a gangbanger. So now when a city council person says that, and a cop pulls Chris over on the street and said, oh, the city council person said he's a gang member. Let me make sure, don't make no wrong move because I'm going to blow a hole in you. And now we got to find out, somebody got to tell Chris's son that he got shot. To me, that was deplorable. That sickened me to my stomach for him to do that. Chris, how did that make you feel?
Well, they did pull me over during the campaign. Broad daylight, suspicious vehicle in Greenview, the largest voting precinct, because they know I was going door to door. I knew what I signed up for. I studied history. I knew it was going to be a nasty campaign. Didn't expect it to be that nasty. But, no weapon that forms against us shall prosper. We're committed and going to continue to stay focused. I understand when I said about the leadership that they have failed us. You look back when Martin Luther King was coming up in the 60s. He was 27 years old when he first started leading civil rights with all his elders behind him. And I don't expect all of our elders to back us, but like you say, don't actually fight us.
Right.
You don't even have to get out the way, but don't fight us.
Right.
Or if you're going to fight, do a clean fight. I could have activated BCF if I wanted to, and tore up the city and did, riots. But
Well,
I knew
thank
that
God
wasn't
you didn't do that.
exactly. But I knew it wasn't the righteous thing to do. And I understand when you're a leader, you have a moral obligation. Like you said, the kids are looking up at us, and that's who I'm doing this for. I'm doing it for our counterparts, our elders, and most importantly, the kids, the futures. Because I don't want to criticize and do the same thing. I want to be different and be as righteous as I possibly can. I'm human, not going to be perfect, but I understand the mistakes that our elders have made, and I refuse to make those same mistakes as them.
Well, Chris, let me, Mike and Chris, I don't want you all to think that I don't touch and agree with you on that we have to prepare the next generation, because one of the most powerful things I ever heard was during the 2008 campaign when Maya Angelou said a leader will be defined by those who come after them. So it was the most powerful thing. It was simple, but it was the most powerful thing. So I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, though, but we can learn so much from the people who are where they are now, so that every generation will continue to be better and get better as time goes along.
Let me ask you this, because when we talk and when a lot of us on the campaign trail, when the question is asked, what's the most serious problem that faces the black community? Everybody always say healthcare, jobs, education. Healthcare, jobs, and education. I just disagree that that's the most the most number one job problem in the community. When our sons and nephews can go to the store right up the street, comply with the police's commands, and still get shot. When we have our friends in a church down in Charleston get shot and killed for going to church, I just don't think healthcare jobs and education is the number one problem in the Black community. What do you guys feel is our number one problem, and what do you feel is the problem that needs to be tackled first in our community, just from your perspective? And
Lack of knowledge of self.
Tiffany?
Capital. Just not having the wherewithal to get out of the neighborhood or the place that they were in their whole lives.
I would just say like education, man. I know you didn't. That was one of the ones you. But everything starts at man. The smarter you are, the more knowledge that you have about the person you said that was killed in the church, Reverend Senator Clemente Pinckney. That was my mentor. He took me under my wing when I was 15 in the 10th grade. I had a daughter, 15 in the 10th grade. He said, "Kyle, I don't care about what happened. Like, all I care about is what you're trying to do with the rest of your life." I heard him speak in our old gym we called the Matchbox at Assembly. At that point, when me hearing him speak, I was like, yo, I want to do what he's doing. He was the youngest state representative ever elected. I remember he was in the Jet magazine. We from Jasper County, one of the worst counties in the state of South Carolina when it comes to education, poverty, crimes. We got like 33 unsolved murders right now. It's only 2 traffic lights that control all of my hometown population. So education was key for me in order to get from out that environment. Like if I wasn't equipped with some type of wherewithal or some type of just understanding about something bigger, something great outside of Jasper, I'm telling you, I would not be here. So for me, it always has to be education. Like first, man, the smarter you are, the more that you can do. My daughter, she currently is a sophomore at Columbia College. Shout out to you. She a koala, and she's majoring in business administration. So she come with me. She here today, and you know why she here today? So she can see like what I do on the background. Because when she graduates from college, she gonna be my business manager for like the Kyle Speaks brand. Like, so it has to, like, education is vital, man.
Agree?
I'll follow that up because education, I was going to say the exact same thing. I know you didn't want to hear it, but it is important. But I'll follow that up and also add exposure.
Right.
Because along with that education brings exposure. And one of my parents, master's degree, another one of my parents, some college, didn't graduate from college, but both have created lives for each other that has afforded me and my sister the opportunity to have exposure with their education that they were able to give us, that now we can go out and do different things in the community. So I would say taking that education just outside of the classroom. I think a lot of people fight for education in the classroom and fight for, the everyday, making sure you have books, all that that's all great. But when you're looking outside of just the classroom, there's more to education. And that's just your everyday walk of life.
That's true. And there's so many layers. You just can't pinpoint one thing and say, this is the biggest issue. Let's just focus on this. We just need all hands, on deck and people working on different issues. So, you have to be educated you have to be educated about your health. You have to be educated about just business. Business wise, you have to be educated about, in school, public school, whatever you're learning there. You have to be educated about yourself. Self-determination is very important as well. And I think there's a lack of that. If we had more of that, there'll be more confident students who know their purpose, and they would want to have exposure. They would want to get away and to seek out their purpose. So education is basically the bottom line for a lot of other working parts.
I'll go with that. Antoine?
Freedom. Freedom. As I travel the world and do some of the things that I've been fortunate to do, a lot of people don't realize how free we are. And we're still mentally bound, mentally chained, in some cases physically.
Right.
Latched, as my grandma would say down in Swansea, to so many things. And when you become free, you're thinking, Free Thinkers Radio.
Feel free to think freely.
When you become free, the education opportunities will be there. You can take advantage of them. When you become free, the access to healthcare. The access to healthcare visions will be there. You'll understand the importance of it. When you become free, you'll realize how important elections are and the consequences that come before that. But until we realize we're free,
Mhm.
we're gonna be spinning wheels in mud for a very long time, and unfortunately, it's gonna trickle down, Kyle, to maybe even past your daughter's generation if we're not careful.
Mhm.
Speaking of elections, how many? Just recently in Alabama, 96% of the black vote turned out for a white Democrat.
Yay! Thanks, Antoine.
So it's safe to say they were excited.
Right.
By a show of hands, how many of you are excited about our gubernatorial candidates coming up?
I
How
put
many
two
are
hands.
I'm
up.
excited. I'm
Put up my
excited.
toes.
I'm ready
Yeah,
for a change.
everything.
Yeah, I'm ready for change.
I just don't know. I don't know who's running.
Okay.
Now you was asking the candidates, right?
Right.
So I don't even know that.
Right. So
James
Besides McAllister, right? Isn't he
McMaster.
run?
McMaster.
Master, I call him
right.
McAllister.
And I asked that
Wrong.
question. Right. And I asked that question because
Right.
to get 96% of the vote, that you're doing Barack Obama numbers. I would think
You right.
they're gonna have to
They
get
had
people
good
like
consultants.
you're gonna have to get leaders like Kyle engaged and get them excited.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, you said no.
Well, let me stop you right there.
Oh,
It's not saying Kyle,
okay.
Mhm.
but it's not their job to get Kyle excited.
Okay.
Kyle should be figuring
Yes.
out in his own way why
What-
he needs to be excited.
Okay.
Exactly.
Because elections have consequences, my friends,
Yeah.
my
Okay.
brothers, my sisters, my cousins, uncles, and whoever else. And we put so much, and I'm talking about our people who look like us,
Mhm.
we put
Mhm.
so much responsibility on the campaigns and the candidates
Yes.
to tell us what we need to know
Right.
and blah, blah, blah. Well, I come from a different school of thought. Like,
Okay.
Taylor. I think it's up to us to know who our elected officials are, who's running for what they stand for. Now, I'm not saying the candidates don't have a job to convince us, but I would say the lion's share of the burden falls on us to do what we need to do, particularly when you look like me, because our being engaged and being involved is our way of being at the table. Because for so long, we have been on the menu in this country. And this is our way of being at the table. So I'll be darned
Right.
if I'm just going to be at the table and not have a chance to look at the menu. And so I think most of that burden falls on us. So I'm out of the business of saying the candidate should have been doing X, Y, Z. It's up to us. If you don't know that there's a gubernatorial election in South Carolina next year, shame on you.
Let me follow that up, Antoine, because Chris, and I'm gonna come back to you. When I go to the candidates page, I see a candidate. One candidate is just his picture, older white guy. The other candidate's page, it's him, his white family. Tell me why I should be concerned about him. Why? What makes, when I look at that page, what makes me think that you're going to care anything about where I come from, my people, when I look at your page and I see your family, your friends, and you? What in the history of this country makes me think that I should get excited about this guy right here?
You want me to answer that?
Yes,
What should make you excited? Well,
because I'm looking for a candidate that's going to speak to me
I understand, but okay, so what should make you excited?
Yeah. about him.
Look
Okay.
around. You look around in South Carolina for the
Right.
past 20 plus years. Republicans, and I don't want to make this show partisan. I understand we got to be respectful.
Okay.
Um, but you look around for the past 20 years. I'm 32, so look around for the past 20 years.
Mhm.
As I say down in Little Richard, something just ain't right about what's been going on.
I agree
We are
with that.
last
For
in the things we
years.
should be first in, and we're first in the things we should be last in.
Mhm.
We have a broken education system. We're not funding schools the way we need to. Our roads literally are falling apart in some places.
Lack of public.
We pay our
transit.
teachers some of the worst wages in the country. We are the state in the highest state in the union in terms of the ratio where young professionals leave here to go seek other opportunities.
Domestic violence.
We have
We're number
high
one.
rates in domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
I can go on and on and on until election day of 2018.
Right.
So when you say you look at that page and nothing gets you excited. The possibility of somebody doing something different makes me want to get out there in the parking lot and do toe touching.
I'm-
Because what has been done hasn't been working, particularly for people like that look like me. When I know that the unemployment rate in communities of color is double what the state's normal unemployment rate is, that makes me scared pissless, Mike. Excuse me. When I realize the fact that there are 44,000 jobs available in South Carolina right now, and somehow or another these jobs can't be filled because there's no tooling and no opportunities for the people to be trained for these jobs, that makes me afraid. When the fact that a lawsuit for 20 plus years that was dismissed by the Supreme Court just a few weeks ago that says that minimally adequate should no longer be the standard for funding education in South Carolina, and the fact that it's up to the General Assembly controlled by Republicans to decide that makes me afraid. So when I look at that page, I look at hope. I look at inspiration. I look for opportunity. I look at the possibility because it's there. Because I just don't think what's been happening or what's been done is going to get us across the finish line where we need to be.
Chris, you wanted to add. You said you weren't excited.
Come back to
I
me
wanted-
too.
Yeah,
Come
I
back
wanted
me.
to add
Okay.
something.
I'm just waiting on all the candidates to declare. Right now, if I had to pick, it would be Representative Smith, the Republican lineup. It's horrible. And I believe that we as a community have to engage both Democratic and Republicans. We tend to put all our eggs in one basket, and we tend to get the same outcomes. But right now, I'm just waiting on all the candidates to declare. But if the election was tomorrow, I'll be supporting Representative James Smith.
In this case, I'm going to put my eggs in the Democratic basket.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, in this election, yes, but
Right.
in
And
general,
I'll come back to that.
but
go
also
ahead.
to advance on to voting and getting excited, our businesses have to do a better job at investing into the
Right.
political process, and so that we can run candidates who understand and value the same principles and understand how detrimental lack of leadership is and the impact that it has on our community
When you go around, I want to come back to something.
Our
Okay, I'm gonna go
businesses
through-
and our churches.
I'm gonna go.
and
to
the
Bree.
churches. Correct.
Go ahead, Bree. Chime in there.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in on two. For one, I want to echo what Antoine said about us getting excited about being involved in the political process.
Right.
And one thing that I've done with some consulting with Sean Kerrigan's campaign is on the back of all of our business cards, scvotes.org is on there. The primary election date is on there. The general election date is on there. So if I meet you and talk to you, you better put this somewhere so you can see it. And if you don't really know who all is your elected officials, go on scvotes.org. Type your name in, type your date of birth in, and everything pops up. So that's an easy way for you to keep up with that and know who is doing things for you or not for you. And you can't know about that if you don't go and do those things. And I know a lot of people spend a lot of time on, you gotta vote, you gotta vote, you gotta vote.
Right.
A lot of people that I meet on the campaign trail, they don't even know where their voting precinct is. They don't even know that a voting precinct is called a voting precinct.
Exactly.
And that's what we have to spend more time doing is we have to educate our voters. It's one thing to say your vote counts, but tell me why my vote counts and then tell me where can I cast it. We always leave those two things out. So that's one thing that we're really taking seriously in this campaign. And for two, you have to look beyond just the face of that person. Point blank, period. You don't agree with probably everything Ben Carson has done or said as the head of the housing.
99.9% I don't.
I'm just saying, but he's a black man. He has a beautiful black wife.
That's why I want to talk about a point.
So
to make.
you don't agree with everything he's done. Omarosa, who agrees with everything she has done.
She gets
Beautiful black lady. So that goes back to you have to step away from that view and then take a time to read their issues. Look and see what they care about. Do they put anything on their website for you to look into that speaks to you? Now, if you go and see that, look past that, read issues, and you don't see nothing you can align with, and you don't see anything that's speaking to you,
Right.
move on to the next person. And that's what we got to do. You got to become an educated voter.
Right. I wholeheartedly agree with you with being an educated voter, but I think we need to take it a step beyond that. When it comes to being excited about our candidates, we need to be excited about ourselves and what we bring to the table.
Mhm.
Sometimes we don't think that we have it to run a campaign and to be the candidate. So sometimes we got to look in the mirror You know,
Say it. You better
Black
say it.
America, young Black
That's right.
America, we need to look in the mirror. They did it in Birmingham with Mayor Woodfin.
And the
Some
judges down there.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing it all over the nation right now. And so I think that's enough to get excited about too. You know, not just about the candidates that, we get, but to actually develop our own people to become candidates and support our own people to become candidates. So
Uh,
And I also add that Antoine said on a radio show Sunday on Point with Cynthia Hardy that you had Joel up for a steak dinner. I'm willing to help you get that steak dinner. Even you just cut me a little sliver.
There you go.
But I'm up to
Right.
help you get it
you
because we can do it here in South Carolina.
You gonna come?
No, like, cause I'm probably the least political person
Right.
on the panel.
Right,
Like,
but you're-
so for
That's great.
me,
But,
right?
but that's why
That's
I
good.
brought you guys
Right.
together for the
Mhm.
community part
Mhm.
and for the political part. Because a lot of time we hear the political all the time.
Right.
Right.
And so I wanted to get a kind of mixture. Let's before I go to some,
Can I just say
Okay.
one thing that Chris said, and I think Tiffany said it. Now y'all probably gonna throw matches of hell at me, and that's okay. But here's a place where I'm at as someone who's in the political consulting business.
Mhm.
Everybody shouldn't run for office.
Oh no,
Amen.
absolutely not.
Amen.
I mean, we can look in the mirror
gotta
and
vet 'em.
say that we all want to be heroes and
Right.
sheroes, and we can do this, that, and the third. But that's not cut. That cloth is not cut for everybody.
Mm-mm.
Now, hear me. Everybody shouldn't run for office. I didn't say everybody should not be engaged in the process. Being engaged could mean that you know who your elected officials are and what they do. That's being engaged because that's being informed.
Mhm.
Being engaged could mean you sit in the campaign office for free sometimes and make calls and not telling people necessarily to vote for a candidate, but reminding people there's an election.
Yes.
Being engaged
Right.
is knowing the dates of when people should file for office and
Yes.
so forth. Not everybody should run for office. We've gotten
Right.
to a place now where everybody want to be Barack Obama, everybody want to be Hillary Clinton.
Not everybody should run. I'm not saying everybody need to put that,
No,
their
I
names
get
in
that,
a
but
hat,
I think we
but
have
we
to be
need to
very.
have more confidence
I'm
in
100%
people.
with you, but I do think the one thing I appreciate about the civil rights movement, you made
Mhm.
reference to MLK earlier. There was so many people around him, but there was only one Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
And those people, when
That's
they said he's our leader,
Right.
it wasn't no ego tripping. It wasn't no let me put my shoulder up and you put your shoulder down. He was their leader, and they followed suit. Young, old, even some of the whites who believed in some of the same things, they followed suit because everybody's not meant to be a leader.
And they chose
just like
him.
everybody's not to be a candidate. And so we
Right.
got to get in the business of not just putting somebody up because
Right.
it's somebody's son or somebody's daughter
Absolutely
or
not.
because they got a lot of Facebook friends.
Right.
Blah,
No.
blah. We got to put people
Right.
who we know are going to do the job, going to represent our interests, and going to hold it down for the people that they know they should hold it down for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was saying
And it-
more so of getting businesses to support candidates who may have the same thing that Dr. Martin Luther King. They understand their moral obligations. They understand how right now our leadership isn't ensuring that the moral fiber stays intact. When you look at Adam Clayton Powell, who was during the 1960s one of the top 5 most powerful men in Congress, when we couldn't even sit at the same restaurant, they intentionally made him resign, even though he was reelected. They knew that, but he was on the way to becoming the most powerful man in Congress during the 60s
Mm-hmm.
because he had substance. Right now, we don't have that in our community.
Right.
But can I just say, like, I don't track that. I don't know how business, like, I don't know how you get business involved because
Campaign contributions because of money.
Republicans get business involved all the time.
Because I was thinking, I was like, but
And that's what we need to
business,
be doing.
like, sometimes businesses almost cut their throat when they attach themselves to a specific candidate. And I don't care. You see it if Trump, somebody do something and they don't like what he stands for, the businesses like disassociate themselves with him. So I don't think the business
Small businesses, not
I got you.
corporate.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
like
okay.
my
All right.
campaign, for instance, we were going against a powerful machine. Most of my money came from small businesses and
Right.
people, and that's why I was able to be competitive and not have a lot of large sums. Because when you're running against an incumbent, they have access and relationships to where they can raise however much money they want. So when I say businesses, I mean small businesses and then a lot of people shop at the small businesses, so they might be well respected in their communities and people value their input. Like Antron was stating, they might not actually run themselves, but they're playing a position during the process.
Well, let's take a step back and forget about the business, but what about the business owners?
Mhm.
Because Best Buy ain't gonna vote.
Mm-mm.
Right.
Right.
That's like
We don't-
small
we're not-
businesses,
Yeah,
like
I
on
got
a
what you're
on a
saying.
on
I
a
got what you're
local
saying.
level.
But what I'm saying is, forget about the businesses. What about the business owner, the executives,
Mhm.
the occupants of the business, the contractors? Those are the people who make. We the people make the decisions. And so I'm in the business of, because Hobby Lobby as a company obviously don't line up with the party that I associate myself with.
Right.
Right.
But there's some store managers in Hobby Lobby who understand that they need their
You right.
Affordable Care Act.
You right.
They need their birth control. They don't want a corporate tax break because they're going to be screwed later on as middle class working families. So I'm in the business trying to convince those people to say, let me get you on board. Because if we get enough of the managers on board, then forget about the corporation. We'll be able to change the corporation if we get enough of the managers on board.
Walk with me here. Let's take
How about I run with you?
run with me there.
Or fly.
Hypothetically, we all become part owners in the Carolina Panthers. All of us sitting here,
Mhm.
okay? We got a Panthers. We hire a new coach. This coach loses every single game, every single season. This coach, we put him up, we give him another try. This coach loses every single damn game, every season. Would you fire him? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Democratic Party in South Carolina has been losing every single game, every single season. Every single game, every single season. Every single game,
It's about new
every
faces.
single season. What do we do? And I'm asking you guys because whether you like it or not, you guys are the tip of the sword. You're by no means the only young leaders out there, but you make a difference. What are we doing wrong and how do we fix it?
I think we touched on that a little bit earlier. What we're doing wrong is not educating people enough.
Mhm.
So we could have viable candidates, right? I mean, we do. And I think we're not actually going to
So it's
It's about
people.
grassroots.
We
It's about
blaming the
going-
vote. Are you saying the
we're
voters?
not no, the people who us. I need to work harder, you know.
Okay,
I
that's
believe-
what I was saying.
You know,
You
the
said,
people who
okay.
are knowledgeable, people who do have the voters' education, we need to be with the people, you know, and talk to them about the candidates and talk about what the candidates can do for us, what they can lose if they don't vote for this candidate, how this candidate can help with their quality of life. And I think we just need to go to the churches and have, sessions with people, have workshops with people and talk to them, because some people just do not know who to vote for. They don't know what people can bring, they don't know what candidates can bring to increase their quality of life. So I just think that we just need to do more grassroots work as the Democratic Party as a whole. I mean, even our precincts, not all of our precincts are organized. I mean, I was a part of one and it wasn't organized, and I blame me too, So, but that's something that's going to change. I mean, there's a lot of people that's looking at the local level and not just, local, like the mayor and city council, but also the school boards. We're looking at the local level, the people that you pass in the grocery store. You can get to know them, and we can get these people out in front of people more, because a lot of people just do not know who the Democratic candidates are. A lot of people do, but I mean, there are many people who do not know.
But
So,
whose fault is that?
I believe
Okay.
it's our fault, and I'm gonna put me in it too.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not perfect, but I can see where we're lacking at, and try to organize in a different way.
I'm glad you said that, because that's one of the things we lack accountability.
Right.
Somebody in the party to say, my bad, it was my fault.
Right.
I'm gonna add on to that. I'm not gonna take all the credit for the party ain't winning nothing.
I mean,
But-
I get all of it, but I'm gonna take my portion. Of
I got you. And I'm gonna tell you this. I works hard. So I'm not gonna say I could do probably a little bit more, but I do a lot already as it is.
You do a lot.
So I am just gonna put that out there.
Right.
But I would say that there are a few things that we need to do, as we talked about this in the fellowship, is making. We have such, especially in South Carolina, the political affiliation climate is working in South Carolina, and just working in general or walking around. It's touchy. You don't want to walk around and say you're a Democrat. You don't want to walk around and say you're a Republican to the wrong person. So it's like politics is touchy. So when we get to a place as a people around this whole country that we can talk about politics as if we could talk about race, you will see a lot change. And I think that is where we start, is we got to have more political conversations. I say we need banners up in grocery stores saying, advertising the Democratic Party in your local grocery store. They're going to have a meeting down the street. I mean, but these are things that we just aren't doing, because you go to a local grocery store and say, we don't do that. There's no party affiliation here. So, I mean, it's little things like that I feel we have to try to change where we can. So when you find that local business owner that you mentioned that says, oh, you know what, I'm going to put myself out there, and I'm going to put Chris Sullivan business cards on my register. And when people come by, they can see that. It's little things like that we got to start doing,
Right.
so that people become more aware. And that's really what it comes down to.
Going back to your football analogy,
Okay.
you can keep firing the coach all you want, but the team gonna still keep losing. At the end of the day, if you don't make sure you have the best players on the field
Right.
or
That's
within
true.
your organization, that's number
true.
one.
That's the players. That's
And
what I'm
number
talking about.
two, going back to what I said earlier, personal responsibility.
Right.
If the community doesn't know there's a big football stadium
Yes.
in the community,
Yes.
and they don't know the potential inside that stadium, all they have to do is come outside and go in the stadium.
And
That's
we're
it.
doing something wrong.
Then you're gonna keep losing, because
Right.
there will be no fans to help push the team and
Mhm.
motivate the team. Number one, number two, and what you may find out once you walk into the stadium, you may find out they're offering free fish
That's right.
or free hot dog
That's
or free
right.
drink
That's right.
or something that will benefit them later.
Right,
But
right,
until you decide to
To
get up off the
go.
couch
Right.
and go to the game, meaning get involved in the process, show up at elections, show up at precinct, the team is going to keep losing.
Right.
Right.
So I'm not in the business of putting it all in the Democratic Party, because listen, I've been involved in the past 2 gubernatorial elections in the state, right?
Right.
I'm like
I-
Tiffany. I'm putting it on you.
Yeah.
the thing is, I mean,
You
I'm
can
not-
do all that you want, but I'm gonna laugh at you.
And I ain't gonna win.
100% of the blame doesn't go to one
Because here's the
entity or
thing,
one person.
I know.
You know, it's spread across. The
I was in that car with Vincent Austin Shaheen from 2009
Right.
Yes.
for 4 years in 2014 when we ran twice.
Right.
I know the places in South Carolina I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
I mean, we would go to churches where there's 6 people in the preacher,
Right.
but every vote counts. So I know that there's been tremendous effort. I
Right.
know, and see, let me remind people. In 2010, we lost by 60,000 votes in the state, 7 votes per precinct. There were 140 some odd thousand registered African American voters, people of color,
Mhm.
non-white. We just assume they're colored.
Mhm.
Non-white voters who voted in 2008 but did not vote in the 2010 election. There were
Right.
close to 200 and some odd thousand eligible registered voters of color who wasn't even registered to vote. So when you say we keep finding the coach, yeah, but what about those 300 and some odd thousand people when you loop them together that could have made a difference? We only lost by 6.
Hold on, but this is my thing, Antoine, because I come from a business background. If I'm selling blue widgets and I got the best blue widgets and ain't nobody buying them, I don't say y'all the problem. You know what? Y'all dumb. Y'all ain't buying the best blue widgets. I got the best blue widgets. Blue widgets. At some point, it ain't y'all. It's me. It's like it's me. I'm doing something wrong. So in business, you either fix it or you die.
And
Well,
I can
And
tell
hold
you-
on, let me
I can tell
just
you-
hold on. Let me just
Okay,
because with me being because y'all political folks, y'all really go at it. With me being outside like this spectrum, really, like
Mhm.
I'm not in the like when you're saying if you don't come into the stadium. So like
Right.
since y'all in the stadium and maybe somebody like me that's on the outside, I got involved with President Obama when he was a candidate. I was sitting in my living room. I remember when he gave his speech about it's not a red America, black America. It's one like when he gave that, his message at that point within me, like that message resonated inside of me. And so something said, if this man ran for office, I would do anything that I could to help. And I think you said something about going and not expecting a dime. When he set up the office in Columbia and Anton Gunn was over it,
Right.
since I have like IT background, I went in there, wired the computers, showed him how to do mail mergers, did the mail mergers. I called phone bank, all of that, because I believed in his message of change. I believed in his message and hope. Like I believe in what he was selling me. Y'all was saying something about some gubernatorial candidates. I have no idea what his message is. Never heard of his message. Don't know him. Don't know what he's
So
about.
whose fault is that?
I have no idea. Somebody's
But-
fault because I've not heard of it.
But I'm
Right,
saying,
but-
so you think that's all his fault or is part of your fault too?
How can it be my fault? I don't know because I've never.
Did you know there was an election next year?
Yeah,
Okay.
But
So
this
did
is-
you know that there were candidates who were?
I'm sure it's can. I'm sure it was. Yeah.
So
but-
so it's a two-way street. That's all.
Right.
That's my
Right.
point.
Yeah.
But this is
Not
my
right.
thing. Oh, hold on, Chris. But this is my thing. When Kyle or Chris put an event together, these two young black men that can get over 10,000 people down to a park. So if I'm a candidate, Kyle may not know my name, but I damn well better know his. And see, I got to be in tune with a community. And if you don't know my community, you don't know a Kyle Green. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's why I brought you guys here.
I can see
Because
that.
he
Like
know-
that make
I need-
perfect sense.
I need to know him.
It
And
may-
if I don't know him, it's a problem.
But Mike,
Go ahead.
the candidate may not know Kyle, but
Right.
they may know Junebug who know Kyle.
There you go.
And sometimes Junebug
There you
had
go.
a better relationship with Kyle
Right.
than any candidate would ever have. And so,
you go.
so we got. So again, it's a slippery slope, and it's a tricky balance of saying, well, because they're not doing directly with me. Because for the 15 minutes that Pookie could spend on the phone trying to convince Kyle that he should be the candidate to vote for, maybe Lil Ray Ray know him better, and Lil Ray Ray can bring his 30 plus Kyle 20 and get back to Pookie, and then we all straight. So we gotta. It ain't because these people don't reach out to you directly.
Right.
You know, sometimes we gotta check our ego at the door too. Now, you know what I mean?
Chris, let me get you in here before
It
we.
goes back to before knowledge itself from the individual standpoint. And we have to know our history. We have to know, stop going with a party, go with an individual. And the individual has to have that charisma. The individual has to have that understanding and feel that heartbeat within that community. And then most importantly, we need brothers like y'all, independent media, that people can watch and actually get substantive news opposed to watching the news about the news. Because that turns people off. People have to work every day to put food on their tables. They don't want to come home and learn about politics. I get it. When we were running our campaign, very limited funding, but we had relationships in the community, was able to get 33% of the vote against almost every political leader within the North Columbia area that had been established for 20 years. Why? Because relationships. People want to see what you're going to do for them, what you're going to do for their kids, and what you're going to do for their families. And many candidates aren't talking the issue. Right now, convicted felons, a lot of brothers want to change their lives. It's an initiative called Ban the Bots. Any political candidates talking about it?
Yeah.
On a local level in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly state has.
Are they getting it done though?
No. I mean,
That's the point.
Losers
We
don't
got to stop.
legislate.
We got to stop talking and start giving action.
Well-
and when we do that, then people will come out in drives.
Okay.
Now, why it won't pass? I understand they don't have the numbers, but what I'm saying is, the Civil Rights Bill passed, but they didn't have the numbers. It's about building bridges. When the judges come up at the General Assembly, we're able to pick our judges because we're able to activate those relationships.
well, I just don't know if the posture is going to be there to do a ban about. You and I worked on that how many years ago?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
From at local level?
We did.
I
it at local
worked
level.
at the State House for the past 4 years. Here's the deal. If you look at Tucker Carlson's Twitter right now, when he talked about why Virginia flipped, well, I know because I worked on the Virginia. We got a law passed to allow felons to vote after they served their sentence. There was law in place that they couldn't. Well, 100 and some odd thousand of those people voted, and guess what? Virginia flipped for the first time in over 20-something years, i.e. they kept finding the coach, but eventually they started winning. Alabama, I was there. I was on the ground, a consultant for that race. 144,000 people, convicted felons, voted in their election. We won by the hair on your chest because that 144,000 made a difference. So all I'm saying is there's efforts out there. Now, everybody may not be screaming from the mountaintop with their microphone, and they may not be doing it all on social media, but there's efforts out there. But at the same time, you got to be realistic. The fact that if we got a General Assembly who will let a hospital close in a district that service some of their constituents,
Right.
what in the hell make you think they're going to do a ban
No,
about
you're missing the point.
Right.
The point is, if members in the community in rural, predominantly Republican areas started voting in the primaries to swing the Republicans in that area, all of a sudden now you have accountability in place to work with the Democratic Party, to where not just convicted felons.
You mean if Republicans vote in the Democratic Party? I'm confused what you're saying.
If you had non-traditional voters who believe their vote doesn't matter because they live in a Republican state, but they're trained to vote Democrat,
Hold up.
if they actually started voting in
You mean
Republican-
Democrats vote in the Republican primary?
non-traditional voters.
Non-traditional. Okay,
They might not vote at all right now,
Hey,
or they
But
might.
you,
guys, we're gonna have to
Or they
leave
may
it there.
belong to
We're
the
gonna have to leave it there. We about to run,
Oh.
but before we go,
we have an after show. 'Cause we got to touch on that. one.
I want to make sure.
Well,
I got to hear that. I got to hear that.
before we go, right quick, I brought you guys on. You guys are young leaders in the community. Before we go, what can we do to help you guys? Because you guys gonna do it every day. Michael gonna talk about it. Antoine gonna get up in the morning to go do it. Bree gonna go do it.
Every
Chris
day.
gonna go do it. Tiffany gonna go do it, and Kyle, you gonna go do it. So what can the community? What can we do to help you guys?
Go more aggressive, get more formed, get more people involved, and absolutely come committed. That's the thing. You can't come in half stepping because it's a very dangerous game, and you can lose your job over it. You can lose your life over it. You got to understand that it comes a time that you got to stop the talk and start to walk. And if you want to do that, I mean, it's a lot of us in the community. I learned that during our campaign. It's a lot of pastors, believe it or not, that are out there working behind the scenes that want to see change. It's just that it's an old guard in place. But work together.
Put your boots in the ground. Go door to door. Knock on the doors. It's about education on every level, on social media, on Free Thinkers Radio. It's about going, and talking to people face to face and having that personal connection with people. And I think that's lacking with, social media and with the internet now. But when you have that personal touch and when you're out here telling people about how their whole lives could be changed by one vote, I think that can get people out. So
Hitler won by one vote.
Mm.
One vote.
I don't know about Hitler. I don't know about any of that. But you were saying what you can do to help me. Support, man. Like I be out here, man. Like when I go speak at a school, and I'm saying like if you got the principal at a school, and I've not been to that school, and I know I can like really impact, and I know my message can really resonate with these students, or I know if I can help teachers to understand the cultural difference with students, and I say like put me in contact with a principal, like to get me there, a superintendent to like speak to a school district to really inspire to motivate. Like once the kids get inspired and they
Right.
become motivated, man, it's something that wakes up in them, and then they willing to like do whatever you ask. And I'm just trying to do the right thing, man. Like I see somebody, I talk to anybody, I give anybody advice, I help anybody, I like go over and beyond. And if people like really had that same like philosophy and that same like go-getterness about themselves, like it can, like what happened in Alabama can happen in South Carolina. Like you can't
Right.
tell me, and I see us moving in that position where we can be a more progressive state, and we can finally get some black lawmakers and people of power of color who can make like decisions for our community.
Right.
Bree and Antoine, anything in closing?
Yeah, I would follow that up with what you guys said about getting involved and supporting each other. That's one thing
Right.
that we've
Right.
got to do is we have got,
Absolutely.
especially in the African American community, we have too many African American leaders who are looking at young people and turn their heads. And we have a
Petition.
lot that do reach back. I can tell you that I'm sitting where I'm sitting from all of the African American leaders that I met as a student at Columbia College that then reached back to me to bring me along with them to different events and things like that. And then I cultivated my own networking that then led to me meeting more people and doing
Right.
more things. So we have got to understand that people know people that know people.
Mhm.
And we have got to be able to know people to then know more people to know more people. So that really is what it is. And really just get involved. And if you don't know, again, who is your representatives and things like that, take the time to sit down and know that information and contact these people. I manage a campaign email. I get plenty of emails. I respond to them. I send them to my candidate. I make sure that he takes the time to understand the issues that are coming from his district. And he understands what they're looking for and what they're needing. I get emails every day, all day. So reach out to these people. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. But that's your opportunity to use your voice and hold them accountable for what they're saying they want to do for
Hey,
you.
give me your candidate name and the district.
His
again so
name
they
is Sean Kerrigan, and he is running in Congressional District 2, and that is Joe Wilson's district, who yelled "You lie" to Obama. So go take a look at him and look at the website KerriganForCongress.com. Again, if you don't align with him, if nothing sticks out to you, find somebody else that does. But take the time to really look into him and see if you can align yourself with him.
know. Mr. C. Wright.
Be methodical and be strategic. we can do a song and dance, but all this other stuff. But if
Right.
we're not methodical and strategic, it's all sounding brass and tingling cymbals, in my opinion. I think our community has a big issue in that we still live by the crab in the bucket mentality.
Absolutely.
And we got to get over that, and realize that we're in a different place than we were 10 years ago, even 10 days ago.
Mhm.
And everybody who look like us should be operating with the spirit of the fierce urgency of now.
Right.
Yes.
So be methodical, be strategic, and be like Michael Balin. We all be all right.
And on
Bring
that
people
note-
together.
Right.
And on that note, we're gonna leave it here. And I want to thank you guys
Well,
for
Thank
salute to
you.
y'all.
tonight. And thank you guys out at home for tuning in. And once again, this has been a community conversation. I'm Michael Bailey of the Bernardi Eye. This broadcast was powered by Free Thinkers Radio and broadcasted live from Studio Arts. Thank you.
Hey.